Welcome to Business Leader Breakthroughs, where we help unlock the potential in you, your teams, and your business. I'm your host, Ryan Castle, along with Dr. Mike Ashby. We'll share insights, experiences, and stories on achieving breakthrough success in business and life. In addition to a podcast, The Breakthrough is a coaching and advisory business that provides programs for business leaders, owners, and managers to develop your skills and capabilities to boost your business and enjoy a better life. To learn more, click the link in the episode show notes or go to thebreakthrough.co. Now let the breakthroughs begin. Hi team, welcome along to the podcast. I am flying solo today. My partner in crime, Dr. Mike, is missing in action, but wanted to give you an insight into something that's a little personal to me, something that has been a bit of a guiding light for me in my life. And I thought Oprah Winfrey summed it up pretty well when she said, "The greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude." One more time from Oprah, the greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude. Now look, this really resonated with me. It's a bit of a life motto of mine, which is all about attitude. It's something that has been a guiding light for me. It's led me on a lot of my choices and how I've led my life on the way through. And when I saw this quote from Oprah, it really resonated. It did surprise me somewhat that she used the word his future rather than our future or her future. I thought Oprah might have been onto that one, but that's how it was. So my challenge to all of you today is really, I want every one of you to get effed. Yes, you did hear me correctly. I did say get effed, but hopefully not what you maybe thought. Nothing rude there. I was really thinking about this attitude piece, and the way I think about attitude and what I observe with clients, with members, with teammates, with people around me, personal situations, work environments, is that I really see people living in three zones. And they live in either the frustrated zone, the fine zone, or the fizzing zone. And I really feel like that is a choice that you make in life about which of those zones you want to live in. So look, what is the frustrated zone like? Look, for me, this is like the caged lion at the zoo, right? They're in the cage, they're stalking around, they look pretty angry, they don't feel like they're in control of their situation, they've been placed in there. You know, I know there's a lot of different examples of why animals end up in zoos, but my observation is often they kind of look like they're a little frustrated in there, pacing up and down, they're not in control, someone else is taking control of their environment and put them in there. And I think the mindset of people in this frustrated zone is very closed. And the question they are always asking is, why is my life like this? It's kind of the blame zone, right? It's where you go, I'm not in control of everything. Everything that's happening to me is somebody else's fault. You know, why is my boss being a so-and-so? Why did that person ding my car in the supermarket? Why is it that I never win the lottery? Why is it that I always get the big bills? You know, it's this constant state of blame. And when you're living in that zone, everything feels like hard work, but it also feels like that it's always somebody else's fault. You're not taking control. You really are just continually living in the frustrated zone. Not a very nice place to be. You're not a nice person to be around. You're not going to bring very good energy to the environments you're in, whether that be a work environment, a sports environment, a personal relationship. If you're operating in the frustrated zone, it's a pretty horrible place to be, and you generally are a pretty horrible person to be around as well. I think the second zone I refer to is the fine zone. And this is the one when you ask someone how they're doing and their response is, "Oh, it's fine." And look, fine has become a bit of a swear word in my house, because when we hear someone say fine, really what it means is it's not that great, it's kind of okay. And so there's always a bit of a private joke in our house when someone responds to that question of how you're going and they respond with fine. But look, what's your mindset when you're living in this zone? You're very passive. So you don't feel like you're someone else has got control over you, but you also don't feel like you're taking control of your situation. And I think the question people ask when they're living in the fine zone is this as good as it gets? And I think the example is, the person that has Looking from the outside in at their life, they've got everything. You know, they've got the house, they've got the white picket fence, they've got the 2.5 kids, they've got the nice car, they seem like they have the good job, they've got the good income, but they're still going, is this as good as it gets? And if you are resonating with this right now, going, oh, maybe I'm operating in the fine zone, spoiler alert, midlife crisis coming your way. So ridiculous sports car, motorbike, who knows what else, could be just around the corner. And whilst they kind of say that in jest, look, I think it is the situation where from the outside, everyone goes, wow, you've got everything. But when you're on the inside, you're like, I've achieved all those. They seem like really big goals back in the day. Maybe when you're in your early 20s, the thought of owning your own house and having a car was kind of like a really big deal. Now that you've achieved that, you're kind of like going, oh, wow, is this all there is? And I think when you're living here, you're very passive. So life is happening to you rather than you making choices about what you want to do and how you want to live your life going forward. So what was my animal analogy here is the cow. So like you're in the field, you've got a little bit of freedom, although there's a fence around. You can kind of eat when you want. It's not too bad, you know. It's not terrible. You're going, would I want anything different? Maybe a bit more freedom. But what you don't realize is the truck to the abattoir arrives next week, right? And that's a situation where you have no control. So if you're living in the passive zone, life's probably happening to you. You're not really making any bold decisions about what you'd like to do differently or how you'd like to shape your life going forward. Stuff's just happening. What's the final zone? Look, the final zone for me is the fizzing zone. This is certainly the zone I try to operate in. I think it's a zone when you bring a lot of energy to the environments you're in, whether again that is a work, whether it's a sports team, whether it's a relationship you bring. In the fizzing zone, when someone goes, should we go on a date? And you go, yeah, sounds good. The person wouldn't go, but we'll just do whatever you want to do. You know, that's very passive. In the growth mindset, I think you'd be a lot more proactive there, maybe making some suggestions about what a great date would look like. In your work environment, you're up for the challenge. When people are saying, we've got this issue or this challenge, you're going, hey, I'm happy to take that on. Let me see if I can resolve it. We look at problems in the fizzing zone as just things to be solved. They're nothing more than that. It's not someone to blame. It's not a why is this happening to me. It's just like, hey, here's an opportunity for something I could solve. So I think the question that people ask themselves when they're living in the fizzing zone is, what's next? They have a very growth mindset, and look, growth mindset is a well-used term these days. A lot of research done by Dweck, and I particularly like a very good TED Talk by a lady called Angela Lee Duckworth, who her TED Talk is called Grit. Look it up. It's a great 5 or so minutes. Her insight, she's done a lot of work with Dweck around growth mindset, and she set out to try and understand what is it that made people successful. And her definition of success was simply people that perform above average over the long term. So it wasn't moments of greatness or moments of success. It was, why are there some people that just seem to be able to create success and achieve things over the long term again and again and again. So look, in her research, Dweck looked at the National Spelling Bee. They talked to teachers that were working in the toughest neighborhoods in the Bronx in the US, and they were trying to predict which of those teachers would stick it out in that really tough environment and which ones would throw the towel in earlier. They went to the military academies to go, who survives the selection process that those military academies had. They surveyed and researched all sorts of people and situations. And the one thing that every single one of the people, regardless of their environment, regardless of their situation, was that every one of them had this characteristic. Angela Lee Duckworth called it grit. Lots of people call it resilience, but it's that ability to stick with things when the going gets tough. Because you look at it with a mindset of, these are problems that can be solved, or I can figure that out and I'll still be able to reach my goal. So the fizzing zone, yes, it's about fun. Yes, it's about when you bring energy, but it's also about your willingness to tackle the tough issues. It's about taking ownership. It's when you say, I have control in the situation here, I will make the very best of what it is. What I'd like you to think about is, which of those life zones are you operating in? Because so many things that we talk about in life are really just the filter we place on them as how we interpret and live with them. Look, looping back to what Oprah said, really you can change your life by simply choosing your attitude. And let me give you a good personal example of this. I have an autoimmune condition called alopecia. I basically have no body hair anywhere, and this is not something I can control. It's kind of one of those just situations, causes me no pain or health issues, other than the fact that I just simply have no body hair. So for those of you maybe watching on video, no eyebrows, no eyelashes, no hair whatsoever. So if I was to place a frustrated, a fine, or a fizzing lens over this situation for me, in the frustrated zone, I'd be in the, why does this happen to me? Everyone else has got these beautiful mops of hair. I can't drive my convertible down the road with my flowing locks going behind me. It'd be the blame game, and it'd be the frustration of, why am I missing out? Why has this happened to me? In the fine zone, I'd be, it's a bit of a bugger that this has happened, but I guess I can't control it. I'll just have to put up with it. Not that happy about it, but whatever. Just that really kind of passive approach. My approach to alopecia, I live in that fizzing zone. My approach is, this is so good, right? Never have to shave. Think about how much time I save myself. Never have to buy razors. Never have to buy shaving cream. When I'm putting sunscreen on down at the beach, quickly on the hands, rub it all over, don't have to worry about getting stuck in my hair or anywhere. And probably the best thing, no matter what room I walk into, I always know I'm going to be the smoothest dude in the room. Okay, pretty poor joke, but the point here is, when you choose your attitude, no matter what's going on in your life, you can really shape a much better outcome. For me, I'm very comfortable with my alopecia. It doesn't bother me. I'm fortunate that is the way, but I do feel like that it's also a choice of my attitude of how I deal with it. So think about your life currently. What challenges are you facing? How are you operating? Which of those 3 life zones are you operating in? I tell you, life looks really good when you choose to be operating in the fizzing zone. So look, hope that insight today has given you something to think about, challenge you to live your life in the fizzing zone. It really is a lot more fun. Thanks, catch you next time.